Hello and welcome to my Mannadium deck profile. It is a deck that I'm going to be taking on this format because it's the only one that I own that will keep up with anything. So, sadly, Dinos is on a rest, and we're playing this now. So, I'll get right into it and talk about the deck. So, a lot of people choose to, of course, play board breakers, but you need hand traps this format. So, this is a hand trap version. So, you play 3 Ash because everything gets hit by Ash at the minute. You've got Ponyx, you got your standard wanted if you want to go with it risky and get that early. You've got Hydrant, like there's a lot of fire-based things that you can hit early on, and of course anything that's bestial related will have an ashable point, including Labyrinth as well, where you can hit their big welcome, the welcome, pretty much anything that's good in that deck. DD Crow, I'm maining this over Droll, but that's simply because of Labyrinth, Transaction Rollback, and anything crazy that needs the grave. You can yoink the Ponyx out of grave against Fire Kings, or the Avatar that gives you a search in the standby, so you can yoink now in the draw phase so it doesn't get to trigger. There's a lot you can do with DD Crow at the minute, but Droll is obviously a good option in the main, or you could just side it, or you can just find 3 slots and play it as well. So 3 Infinite Impermanence, again, similar thing to what you're hitting with Ash. So like you can hit Ariane with this, Ponyx, a lot of different starters that you can hit with Imperm. It's a pretty mandatory hand trap at the minute. So I'm only playing 9 hand traps for this, but it is enough. So like if you do get drolled or you do get hand trapped, you could basically get a decent chance of getting to turn 2 and then winning from there. We have 3 Fenrir. It is an interruption on legs. It's pretty mandatory for this deck, and it's been played quite a lot in general. So even if you just whack this out going second, your opponent is immediately on the back foot or worried because it's a similar effect to Pancratops. It's a board breaker on its own. So your opponent might even be tempted to do something to the Fenrir before you even start playing. So, and of course a lot of other Mannadium decks play the Scareclaw to go with it, but personally, it's a bit bricky, it can be a bit cloggy, and you also need a card to discard off of it, so it's just better to keep this as condensed as possible. For the Mannadium lineup, we play 3 Riumheart. This is a full combo on its own, but you don't really want to start with this one, because it, as a quick effect, can just destroy a Mannadium card or a card with equal stats, so 1500 attack or 2100 defense, and it's a free summon, and then you can just start searching and playing from there. It's also not bad if you have 2, because if you have 2, then it gives you half a chance of playing if your first one gets imperm, so you know it's a really good card. And then of course Meek, this is the thing that lets you pop off, because it's a constant, it's just the baby of the deck. You pop it and it gives you another one, and then you can choose whether or not it's a level 2 or a level 4, which is busted because you end up getting some crazy synchro stats where you can go into 8s, 12s, 10s as the most frequent one for this deck. But Meek's pretty mandatory. You can't play Torrid or Fearless because it just gets too bricky. 3 Reichheart. It's probably the starter you want to open with because you can tag it out if your opponent tries to imperm this if you have access to Rium. So because Calarium's so searchable, you can normal this. Your opponent might even imperm this, and you've already searched Rium, so then you just tag this out so they completely dodges imperm, and then it searches a non-once per turn reborn. So if you have multiples of that, then you're making an even bigger board. As for the Visas, you play Visas Samsara at 3. You do want to see this one, and it's not searchable in the deck. But in general, it's got the same stats as everything else. So it acts as a target for Rium, and it can also make Trisukta. You can summon Meek if you control it. So it is probably one of the better things to see, but also can be a little bit bricky because you don't want to start with this one, but sometimes it saves you a lot if you do start with it. And of course, when you do banish your Visas with your first Astraloud, if you have no way of putting your Visas back, or you want to do the Omega dance, which I will talk about when we get into it, you can then just shuffle back the Visas, and then you've got another name for the second Astraloud, so it's quite important. And 3 Visas Starfrost, which is just a pop, summon it, And then you can make the Scareclaw Link 1 and then go off and just go full combo. Pretty mandatory as well, so it does save you on its own, because the Link 1 is crazy. For the spells, you want to just play 3 Calarium, which searches any Mannadium card, so the Rium or the Meek, and Rium, of course, is a full card, 1 card combo, which gets you at least 5 negates on its own. So it's a crazy field spell, and it's hit a lot. And it also is a free reborn, so you pop Meek, and then you end up constantly reborning Meek, and gain decent synchro stats. You play 2 Reichphobia. You only want to play 2 because it is searchable off of the Link 1, which is made by literally anything you can think of in the deck that isn't Rium. So, yeah, it just searches the Scareclaw card, which on its own, can get you an Apollousa or a Baronne or something crazy. So, and then Perlereino. There is sometimes when you're playing, I think it's the Astra, the Synchro Visas guy, which we'll get into. He can search any card with Visas in its name, so any spell or trap. So if you've already burnt Calarium or Primitive, where you've searched a Scareclaw or a Mannadium, you can then get the alternative field spell, search the opposite engine with one and get Visas with the other, because you're always going into that Link 1. So Link 1 will take care of Reichphobia, and then you'll get the field spell that is allowed to search Visas if you need it later in the combo. So it's just at 1. 2 Mannadium Abscission. This pops a card to search Calarium, and if you've got Calarium, you search any Mannadium card, and there is only one other, which is at the end. So it not only triggers Meek, and then searches Calarium, which then will allow you to trigger Meek again, because the card you search off Calarium will then pop Meek, and then you reborn Meek. But in Grave, if you've got a Visas in hand, or a 1500 attack monster and 2100 defense, you can banish it from Grave, and then special summon that for free. So it is an extender as well, which is crazy, and allows you to develop your boards even if you are interrupted. Scareclaw Arrival. I don't like the idea of this being at more than 1, but it is a non-once per turn reborn that's searchable. So it's nice to open one, search the other, and then knowing that you can just develop your board crazily, because you've got a double reborn. But yeah, I don't like it at more than 2. 3 is definitely overkill. Rota, it just turns it into a 40 card deck. It is 41 sadly, but it is tight. So this just gets you Rium or the Scareclaw, whatever you're missing, and then you can just go full combo. Double trip tactics talent. You do cycle through your deck quite a lot, and I don't play Imaginings, which is the draw card, but you can play it. I just prefer to have talents as another form of disruption, because if you go in second, you've got extra cards, so you got a decent chance of seeing it anyway. But if you go in first and you do have it and you get drawled, then at least you can look in your opponent's hand and rip something out. But it is fantastic at 2. It's just fine. You can even play it at 3. No right ratio to that one. And then Mannadium Reframing, which is just an Omni-Negate counter trap. And you can also choose the way it's set up, whether or not you want to destroy that card, or whether or not you just want to negate the effect, which is the best part about this, because with Fire Kings, the last thing you want to be doing is triggering stuff on resolution because you've destroyed it, when really you can just go negate and your opponent's trying to trigger it. It's like, no, I don't want to destroy that one. Like, you don't get an effect. So Reframing is pretty mandatory in the main deck, even though a lot of Mannadium players aren't really playing it that much, they're siding it. For the extra deck, you play 2 Vicious Astraloud. I've seen people play 1 or 3. 2 is definitely mandatory. You do end up making 2 in the combo, especially if you want to extend quite far. You can drop your Synchro lineup and play Dingesu. I've messed about with the spiders as well because of that, because it's a free level 8 that just contact fuses from grave and field, which is stupid. And then not only that, it can pop a card and then gain half the attack of the card you've just popped. So it is just an OTK machine as well. And it is what practically makes the deck how aggressive it is. It's brilliant. Trisukta, or Trisukta, whatever. You basically, if you've got nothing else, you end up doing this dance. So It's Rium Search Meek that gives you a 6 Synchro, which is Trisukta. And then Trisukta Reborn's Meek. You don't activate a second effect to make everything level 2. That's not even come up for me yet. That's how rare it is. And then you've got an 8. But even though they're both tuners, you can make Amritara with 2 tuners. And Amritara just searches any of that field spell that you need Visas with. Or if you've already had access to everything, you just search Reframing. Or you can grab Abscission. You can just grab anything that mentions Visas Starfrost in its name. So it is the most flexible Synchro in the deck, and you then link it off. Or you can even just go straight into the link one and pop off from there. Accel Synchro Stardust Dragon, it is the only way to make Dis Pater without Crimson Dragon. So sometimes you're not going to be able to do it, your levels don't shape up too well, so you go into Accel, you make Dis Pater that way, and Accel just reborns Meek. You can cut this one, but it'll save you if you've got it in the extra deck. Bystial Dis Pater. It's really good. It's a decent interruption in general. Like, it can make you Nibiru proof. It can it's just a genuine decent monster negate, but it's not safe to just leave it out really on its own. Like, you'll need something else to recover this. But its main use sometimes is to just reborn the PSY-Framelord Omega. You activate Omega to banish a card from your opponent's hand, and then next you reborn it with the Dis Pater immediately, and then do it again. And then your next standby phase, they get those cards back, but it's too late because they're dying, because you then control the Dis Pater and Omega, which is most an OTK on its own. Chaos Angel, it's decent. I don't think it's mandatory personally, but it is very good because you can easily shape it as to having the dark, so things are unaffected. You get a banish as well with it, so it's really good. So you can definitely shape its light and dark attributes, but at the same time, half the time you're going to be making it, you're only going to be using Meek, so you need to be careful because it's not going to get its full effect. So sometimes it's just best not even to bother because Meek is a level 2 water. Baronne de Fleur, that's just a negate. It's a free 10. You make a load of 10s. Why wouldn't you be playing the best 10 Omni? It's pretty self-explanatory at that point. Crimson Dragon. It's one use. Target Baron to summon Dis Pater. Or you could also target Chaos Angel, whichever 10 you have. So you always make Baron either on 5th or 6th. And then you can just make Dis Pater. And then it's far too late for your opponent to do anything at that point. And then Scareclaw Light-Heart. You can link into this card so long as that card is either a Scareclaw card or is basically classified as Visas Starfrost. So that's Amritara on field, Visas Samsara wherever the hell you want it, and Visas Starfrost. So you just link into this, search Reichphobia. Reichphobia gets you a card. That card then summons straight to this card, and then you get a free link too. And then if you control Visas and this card is in the grave, you reborn it. So the constant... the more frequent we'll do is you pop this with Visas, and then this immediately reborns itself because you got Visas on field, and then you're just making crazy boards, even though you've gone through 1 or 2 interruptions. It's quite crazy. Cross Sheet is a mandatory part of the combo. You are summoning Astraloud to a zone, which then reborns a 2 to this zone, and then you're making a free Apollousa or a Link 4 or whatever you need. You do, of course, side Underworld Goddess as well. You can't main it because, as I say, it's a very tight extra deck. But I also want to cram Savage in here at some point. So Cross Sheet is very good. SP Little Knight, it's just a free interruption. It's a banish, and then you constantly keep chaining stuff. If you get even lead, you chain Little Knight, get him off the field. If you summon it, then you want to banish a card. It's really good against Labyrinth because you're constantly taking cards that they want to be recurring out of the game. But it is very good in general, but you need to be careful because you do want to OTK have the crackback, and if you do have to go into this, you're not going to get the OTK because of its standard restriction. And then Apollousa, I think this is the one that people are cutting the most, and either siding or experimenting with. It's mandatory. It's tons of monster negates in one card. Why wouldn't you do it? It makes your life infinitely easier, and it's the thing that bumps you up to that 8-9 negate bracket, which is insane. So, but yeah, those are the personal ratios. I will be featuring combos, and you'll be seeing me doing it on streams as well. It'll be my main deck, so hopefully there'll be a bit more Mannadium content as well, and how to play it and how it's changing and developing. So, of course, like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think, tell me how you play the deck, tell me what you think might be a bit better in the deck. I'm open to interpretations. This is actually new to me, so I'm still even making mistakes with it. So, anyway, bye.